Steely Dan's 1973 sophomore album, Countdown to Ecstasy, is a bit opaque to begin with. On first listen, it presents itself as a good album, but one that feels much less fresh than Can't Buy a Thrill. However, Countdown to Ecstasy is not an album that you should only listen to once, as it starts to shine when you start to consider it separately from its predecessor. Go now with some of the more soft rock-styled songs from the last album. A focus is put on perfecting what worked best before and taking it to a new level. The instrumentation is perhaps better here, and the lyrics are at their worst still only slightly below Can't Buy a Thrill's weaker tracks. Steely Dan might not quite hit as many or as high of highs on Countdown to Ecstasy as they do on their debut, but they are very much present and aplenty. This album does serve as kind of an odd one out. It doesn't stand out as much as some of the band's others, but is a very well-delivered package that once again works very well as an album. The inspiration feels a bit dull at times, but the dedication to perfecting their sound carried Steely Dan forward, proving that they're more than just a flash in a pan. In the end, Countdown to Ecstasy is a worse album than Can't Buy a Thrill, but also at the same time it is perhaps a better Steely Dan album than Can't Buy a Thrill. Bodhisattva is a great track to kick off the album. The guitar, bass, and piano work is great, and the vocals fit the jazzy feel perfectly. The middle of the song also features a great part where the guitar does a back and forth with a keyboard. At the end of the song, there's also a great guitar solo that serves as a great finale. Lyrically, the song is a mockery of 1960s obsession with Far East religion and anti-materialism. The song more or less states that most people treated anti-materialism as trading their old aesthetic for a new one, as opposed to actually believing in being free of earthly possessions. Razor Boy is another great song to follow up Bodhisattva. Steely Dan's rhythms are once again great, and the piano and percussion really shine. Lyrically, it follows up on the themes of the last song, being somewhat of a vague denunciation of materialism. The lyrics are, as usual for the band, full of obscure imagery that sets a kind of mysterious and hard-to-follow tone. The Boston Rag features a good, steady beat and a really nice-sounding guitar with some feedback. Lyrically, it has a somewhat standard lyric about the good old days and nostalgia. This is one of the harder songs of the album, sort of this album's equivalent to Can't Buy a Thrill's Final in the Hole. Your Gold Teeth once again has everything this album has had up to here. Good rhythms, good lyrics, smooth vocals, and great solos. This song features a great keyboard solo, followed up by a good guitar solo towards the end. Lyrically, it is a bit obtuse, but it does fit the album's style very well. I won't pretend to fully understand what it all means, but it does sound very much dark and sexy in tone. Biz Kids feels like the most commercial song on this album, with prominent female backing vocals acting as a repeated refrain. Lyrically, the song conveys the feeling of a very sleazy and gritty place that appears to be exciting and cool on the outside. I'm going to be honest, similar to the last song, I don't quite understand what all it means, but it is a very nice sounding song that works very well on this album. My Old School is probably the best song on this album. The saxophone sounds great, and the vocal harmonies on the chorus are superb. Having a guitar solo at the end of each verse is a bit over the top, but each one sounds so great I can excuse the excess. The song's lyrics tell the story of a narrator vowing never to go back to his old school where he got into trouble before. It is actually based off of a real event that involved members of the band being busted for drugs at their school. Overall, I feel like this is certainly probably the best song on the album. Paul of the Quarter is a bit too ballady for my taste. The playing is delivered quite professionally, but it is somewhat uninspired compared to the rest of the album. The lyrics feel like a bit of a generic love song. While it is supposed to have a bit of a curveball in there for women being a prostitute, there's still plenty of songs out there like that, so it's nothing too special. Overall, it's good as an album track, and it does sound quite nice if you're listening to it with the rest of the album, but it's nothing really special on its own. King of the World is a very fast and upbeat sounding song with lots of nice textured 70s synth and, as always, a great rhythm. The lyrics describe a scene of a post-apocalyptic world and how the narrator is trying to find if anyone else is left alive. The chorus of the song is very great. The synth on the song conveys the feeling very well, sounding somewhat similar to the music in a sci-fi movie, as well as somewhat like a high-tech siren or maybe a radio tuning, something that is featured in the lyrics of the song as well. The song also features a good guitar solo towards the end that helps really fill out the song and sort of is a good finale to the album. Overall, a very great album closer. So before we get to the final review scores of this album, I do want to look at the sleeve. This is it. It's kind of a bit minimalistic in some ways. I mean, it's certainly a lot more toned down from what Can't Buy a Thrill's album cover looked like. Some versions of this album have this little stamp thing here that says Platinum Plus MCA. I'm not really sure why that is, but I do know that this album was repressed by MCA in like 79 or 80. Although this copy I have is actually one on the original label, which is ABC Records, so I think maybe they put that on them to have like MCA's name on like ones that were like old stock that they like repackaged. It's like MCA ones that had already been like pressed with ABC labels. I'm not really sure though if that's actually true or not. It's just kind of my theory. Discogs does mention that on some of the albums, that like several of the albums have versions with that on there. But it is, it's nice. It's kind of a nice green color, and honestly, I feel like a lot of times you see like pictures of this online, it doesn't really get like the tone of the color quite right. Like it's usually makes this border look kind of the same color as the inner thing, but the inner thing is actually decently of a kind of more vibrant green color, and then you got the women in chairs, which is kind of weird, and you got kind of a name, just kind of standard black font. Then you've got the back, which is a nice picture of a band that's in kind of this green color, although they left some stuff in color, such as like a cigar down there, like the burning part of it, and then some of the things on the mixing consoles. And you've got, of course, the list of the songs, and you got all the like notes and whatever. This copy is actually slightly printed off center. If you notice, some of the lines over here get cut off, and the printing that should be on the spine is actually up here on the side, kind of. That isn't quite right. And also, this album doesn't come with a printed liner, but it does come with a lyric sheet. So that is on one side. That is on the other side, and they actually have kind of funny little descriptions of each song. I don't know if you can see that, but there it is on side one songs. And there it is for side two songs. I'm not sure how in focus the camera is before I see it. It's kind of plain. I mean, it's just plain kind of brown text on kind of beige paper. It's not really anything that special, but it works. I mean, I do appreciate them having liner notes just in general. And that's basically it for the album. The copy I did get, I guess I'll mention this, came in this sleeve. Now this is clearly, I didn't come with it. This is something someone had bought, I'm pretty sure. ADC Auto Dynamics Corporation anti-static record sleeve, lifetime record protection, and it even has a thing that someone didn't bother to fill out on the back with indicate the number of plays. When I first saw this, I thought it was something for like rentals, but it doesn't really appear to be, because no one marked how many numbers of plays it have, and it has warnings and like tips. I think that's kind of neat, although it's not actually really a part of this album's packaging, but I figured I'd just cover it here while I had it out. So that's kind of cool. So there it is again. Also, if you were wondering why that sleeve is empty, it's because I actually have the record in a different sleeve. Here it is. And there's the ABC label that I was talking about. Not an MCA label, but an ABC label. Kind of nice. Very 70s. But yeah, it is an overall pretty nice looking album sleeve, I think. It's not as over the top as Can't Buy a Thrill, but it is a very, I think, it works. It's very 70s, but it works. I'm going to be honest, when I first listened to this, I thought it was more of a 7 out of 10. But, you know, if you actually sit down and you listen to it a couple of times, it really starts to grow on you, and a lot of the songs kind of stick to your mind, and it really is a really good sophomore album, but it is kind of deceptive at first. It really feels like it's not an album to just listen to once right after Can't Buy a Thrill, because Can't Buy a Thrill, it's a very strong debut, and it is indeed a stronger album than this one, but this one is, the more you listen to it, the more you consider it, I personally think it's more of a very worthy follow-up to Can't Buy a Thrill. So I decided to give it an 8 out of 10 because it is overall, I think, a very good package. Every album on it, I mean, every song on it is really good, except for Pull the Cord was kind of just mediocre, but even it works well enough as an album track. One track like that isn't enough to bring this down. So yeah, I think it's a really good album. So, every time I listen to this album, I like it just, I think, a little bit better, you know? Even to the point where, to some degree, I think it really does stand up with Can't Buy a Thrill. So I'm actually re-recording this ending part of the video where I read off my final rankings to kind of illustrate that, because I originally given it not that much lower than I'm going to give it now, but slightly lower, so I am re-recording this to change the weighting somewhat. So, here we go. Bodhisattva, I give 9 out of 10. Razor Boy, I give 9 out of 10. The Boston Wag, I give 7 out of 10. Your Gold Teeth, I give 8 out of 10. Biz Kids, I give 8 out of 10. My Old School, I give 10 out of 10. Paul of the Quarter, I give 6 out of 10. And King of the World, I give 10 out of 10. And overall, I give the album a 9 out of 10. So I once again want to thank everyone for watching this video, this review. I have reviews of Steely Dan's other albums coming up soon. I've already been working on them at the time that this will air, so stay tuned for that. Be sure to like and subscribe to the video and share it on social media if you're able to, because it really does help me and help my videos get shown to a larger audience, including an audience that may be a bit more of an intended audience than you, the person watching this and listening to me right now, actually are. So I would very much obviously like for that to happen, and I do want to thank you all for watching to the end of this video, and I will see you next time in the next video.